May. How was everybody's Mother's Days yesterday? If you celebrated with your mother or had memories of your mum if she's no longer with you, or you yourself are a mum or someone who acts as a mum to someone else, I hope you had a very lovely day. I had a lovely day as well. It was wonderful, actually. It was really good with my boys and Mr. Marie and everybody else here. In fact, my mother-in-law too was even here, so it was great. Oh gosh, I knew that was going to happen. I'm going to do this. Ugh. I'm in the office today because I forgot my laptop, and Claire is headed off over to the mill, so she's going to give us some time. So I haven't forgotten to disconnect the phone, so if the phone goes, we will wait for it to ring out there and the girls will get in the shop. So I know, it's Monday. It's one of those days. Well, what have we got to talk to you about? Tons today, actually, which is good. Well, tons-ish. I didn't get a huge amount of knitting done over the weekend, but I did get some, which I'm really pleased about. So in terms of good morning, oh, hey, Patty's here from Georgia. Woohoo, and everybody, yeehaw. That's exciting. Happy Mother's Day to you, Patty, because it's still Mother's Day where you are. Knitting over the weekend. I've got sleeves. Oh, there goes the phone. I knew that would happen the minute I started talking. That's all right. Oh, there we go. Here we go. I have sleeves. I'm just going to do that so it rings out the shop. Oh, no, there we go. There's my back. So this is my Judith, Point Judith pullover by Josie Muzier. So that's my back completed. So I have the back completed and I have now sleeves. So that's sleeve 1, which is just been steamed, and here is sleeve 2, which is pretty much hot off the needles. And look at the difference. You can see that particularly through that wishbone cable. The steamed sample is so much more relaxed than the other. So this was the errant sleeve that I started at Easter time and realised I'd cast on the wrong size, and I totally had to start again, and it was just hideous, but that's okay. It's now done. Sleeve, no sleeve island for me, it's done. So last night, I cast on the front. So the nice thing about the front, obviously, is that it works the same as the back, pretty much all the way up to the armhole shaping, and then I start to get into the placket thing. So I've only just done my first couple of crosses on that, but I am thoroughly thrilled, absolutely thrilled with it. Totally thrilled with it. Now, one of the things I did notice over the weekend, over on in the speakeasy, was some comments around the difficulty. Sorry, leaning down, putting that away. The difficulty of doing a centre pull ball using the vintage a board, and to a lesser extent her flight yarns, but particularly vintage was creating some issues. Now, I've become quite an expert on this now because I've done 15 of these so far on that project. So I thought I would didn't comment on the post, but I thought I'd just talk a little bit about it if you're wondering why and why that is. So part of the reason for that are these balls, and I'm going to hold up one of our regular Kiwi vintages to show you the difference. As you can see, the vintage abroad is quite a fun little nuggety ball compared to our vintage. And that's because of the spindle that's used when they have balled it. Now, we don't have a spindle this small that we do these on, and they do this really nice compact ball. Now, from our perspective, from a shop perspective, we love this little nuggety ball. And there's several reasons for that. One is it keeps it quite firm and tight on the ball, so it doesn't get sort of all sloppy Joe. So in terms of how it looks on the shelf and holds itself together, because people come over and touch yarn and fondle and feel, this will look, stay in shape and look $1 million much more readily than this, which I know has nothing to do with how it knits, but you know, perception. People like things to look nice. We like things to look nice. So then it comes that when you go to do a centre pull out of a nice sloppy ball like this, as you can see, it's relatively easy because it's just all sitting in there lovely and loose, and you can easily do a centre pull out. Now, that is not to say that you can't do a centre pull out of this. Now, I will admit the original question was, are you finding it difficult to do a centre pull out of these? There is a trick to it. So I'm going to do one of these unfurnished, and it's either going to be a fabulous success or an absolute unmitigated disaster, but we will give it a go. So the first thing that I will tell you is the outside edge with these vintage boards, they do tuck these on the inside. It's the first thing that I've noticed. So the first thing I do is I pull that outside edge out, and it's actually quite a long leading edge, and I don't know how, well, I mean, I've got a theory on why that is, and I think it's probably where their machine cuts that leading edge, which means that it hasn't pulled in, so they take that and they stuff that into the bottom of the board to keep it tidy. I just take that little leading edge there, if you're wanting to go centre pull, and I just tuck that under the ball band like that to get it out of the way. Then I dig my fingers down in here, my podgy fingers, and I sometimes actually pull them in from the other side as well until my fingers match, and then I will do a bit of a strand, and yes, this one's going to do it, and then I just pull. Now sometimes this little wadge from the middle that I pull out is actually significantly more than this. It doesn't matter. So pull it out until you get a single strand out here, and as you can see, this one's come out beautifully with the end there. And then I will just unravel that. And if you don't like having all this extra, well, this is the nice thing. You can just scoop all that up and stuff it back on the inside of the ball and just keep pulling, because it won't tangle if it's in there. And then voila, you just keep pulling through. It does take a little bit of practice, I will admit. I did have a couple where I literally pulled almost, it felt like the entire guts out of the ball. But what I find that if I put both my fingers through to the middle and have them till they meet, and just have a little feel around, and whatever is on that inside edge, and just gently tug that out. And sometimes it can be, easily double the amount of that wadge that I pulled out. But that doesn't matter. As long as it pulls out and then I've got that single strand, then I can find the end, unravel it out, stuff the excess back into the middle, and I'm good to go. So yes, it does take a little bit more patience than our nice big smooshy 50 gram balls, but that's the trick to it. I really do like these nuggety balls. They're easier to store. And they just hold themselves together really, really well. So if you're wondering on what to do with it, that's how they do it. The other thing too, there was a mention around joins. I can tell you I've done 15 balls and only struck 2 joins in all the 15 balls I've knitted. And both of those have been what we call splice joins. So and we do them at the mill too, is you have a splicer that automatically, if there's a break or an issue in the yarn, the machine actually frictions those joins together. So they're not a knot, they're actually a machine wadded friction. In both cases for me, in this project that I've done, when I've come across those, I've just done a little bit of a lickety split, not with bright pink lipstick on, I'll tell you, on a cream yarn, and I've just done a little bit more friction to smooth those down a little bit, and then just carried on knitting, because they've been no bigger or greater than any other split splice that I've done when I've been joining balls, and I've just carried on moving through. Why do you centre pull, Sue asks? Yeah, some people choose not to. Some people choose to go outside pull. If you centre pull, it means that the yarn feeds from the middle of the ball, and the ball just stays static in what you're working, so it doesn't sort of roll and move around. However, if you're not wanting to do that, if you like to go from the outside of the ball, that is what something like, oopsie daisies, this is used for. This is a yarn bowl. You just pop your ball in here, twist it through, and then the yarn rolls around inside the bowl, doesn't get caught up with anything, doesn't tempt kittens or anything like that, and then you just carry on knitting away. So it is just a preference thing. Oopsie. Stay. Patty, if you took off the label and popped it into the bowl, yes, you can knit from the outside, or could you knit from the outside and would that affect the twist? The answer to that, Patty, is no. In fact, if you wanted to, you can actually use a yarn bowl, particularly if you're getting towards the end. Did you know that you can knit from the inside and the outside of the ball simultaneously? And some people do that, particularly if they're wanting to do colour work and they need the same colour worked across. You can actually do that as well, which is a bit of a funky thing to do, but no, it doesn't affect the twist. Morning, Amanda. Can you tell me what the yarn you're bringing is to Wolf East? Very good question. It's a very good question. Yes, I can. Actually, I can. Vintage Abroad 10-ply is one of those that I'm bringing. In fact, 6 cartons have already been boxed up because my BFF is on his way down from Auckland as we speak, and he's down here to pick up a horse float. So I was like, oh, excellent. Well, if you're picking up a horse float, can you take some yarn back to your place? Because that's where I'm staying when I go up. And he lives in Kumeu. Yes. Oh, it's so handy. Thank you, Margaret, for moving the venue to Kumeu. It's just brilliant for me. So yes, definitely bringing the Vintage Abroad 10-ply, all of it. All 28 colours are coming with me to Woolfest. So you dig out those 10-ply patterns because I am bringing those. I'm also bringing Whisper Fine because, hello, why wouldn't I bring Whisper Fine? I'm bringing Whisper Fine. I'm bringing some of the paler shades of the Pearl Luster that go with the Whisper Fine. And then I'm just sort of seeing what space I've got left. So that's where I'm at this stage. Oh no, sorry, Pulse. Pulse is the other one I'm bringing. So I will also be bringing, with the Pulse, I'll be bringing our sample that we have in Pulse. I'll be bringing the sample we have in Vintage Abroad 10-ply. And I'll hopefully have my pattern there as well, and we will, yes, and with any luck we might have our sample back with the Whisper as well. So that's what we're going to be doing. Shivani, good morning, Shivani. Will you be getting the Whisper? Yes, I'm bringing the Whisper. Wolfies. Is this similar or the same kid mohair that was at the Epic Sale? It is similar to the kid mohair as the Epic Sale. The composition is actually different. The one that was in the Epic Sale was the first sort of run and attempt at this yarn. So we did a smaller batch size and we ran it through as a trial because we hadn't done a really fine mohair in this format for quite some time, and they wanted to test out some machinery. And anyway, it wasn't quite right. So we played around with the composition a little bit, and what we have now is what we're really happy with. So, and it's what the yarn now is just a little bit finer and smoother. It threads, it feeds a little bit better. Yes, so that's what we're bringing, the Whisper Fine. So I'm really excited about that. Actually, speaking of that, while I've got that over here, in the swatch, where did I put the swatch? You may have seen, oh, there it is, with the sample. I mentioned last week that this is the sample we're looking at doing, which is the Yume, which is Isabel Kramer. And we've decided on, and the wonderful Heather, she's so wonderful. I walked in this morning and saw the blocking board sitting in the middle of the office. I whipped this up on Thursday and it was all twisty, and she blocked it for me, bless her. So here it is here. And so what I did with this is I knitted all of these Whisper Fine with Sock Petition Edition. So this is Milk at this end. We've got Milk, Featherston, Gallow, Chapel, which is the orange, and Bruton. So those are the colours in Sock Petition that we chose to do with the Whisper Fine compatriots. As you can see, let's hold that to the camera. There we go. They're fabulous because they're not exact matches, but they're close enough. And of course, obviously, outside of the Milk, these are all monochromatic prints. You get this nice little shading of colour, and you can see that quite a bit there with the Chapel, you know, as it fluctuates in and out with the marling, and also the monochrome of the yarn. And we just love it because it just gives you that dimension of it, just a new visual element in the overall fabric. And the fabric is just so beautiful. There's a gorgeous, can you see the little halo there? Gorgeous little halo from the mohair. The cover factor is good. And the tension was bang onto a DK tension. We like this. So this then means that any good old DK pattern that you might have in your library, you could give it the Whisper Fine treatment with any 4-ply that you have roaming around. So one of the things that we thought we would do is that, just do that again, one of the things that we thought we would do is swatch just some different options. So the pearl lusters we've talked about because they're exact matches. So we have the Rosaline with the rose, and that will be perfect for Pink Fizz. If you've been itching to cast on Pink Fizz from Angela Mowry, that would be absolutely perfect. Then we've got the pearl with the cream rose, and those, I mean, you could do that. It's just that beautiful, warm, rich rose cream. It's stunning. And then we have the Murray, which is the blue, and then the smoke, which this is the smoke here, and this goes with the argent. But smoke also works fantastically with the Sockmatician edition, and this Sockmatician edition is just a little bit darker, but the other one that will work really, really well with is the Stoic, and this is from this was from the Epic sale. We've had some left over. It's the Skeinz Possum Sock. Now the everyday retail on this, because of the possum and alpaca in here, is $19.94. If you've been eagle-eyed this morning, you may have noticed that there was a price reduction first thing this morning on the Stoic on the sale page, and I have just taken 60% off this for today and tomorrow because you guys loved the flash sale on Thursday so much, and it sold out much faster than we expected, if truth be told. I thought that we would have stock to see us through until the end of play the following day. I was wrong. We actually have more of this one, so I'm hoping that we will have enough for everybody. But this, regardless, this on its own, fabulous. Okay, so this is 55% merino, 20% nylon, 15% alpaca, 10% possum. If you are a Kiwi knitter and you know your Kiwi possum sock yarns, I won't tell you what this is, but I think you'll put 2 and 2 together. And this is the undyed base. So all we've done is steam this and pop it into the ball. If you're having fun hand dyeing at home, and I know loads of you now are, you can actually dye this. This is dye ready. So there's no dye or anything on this. You could take this home, pop it off into a niddy noddy or a Swift. So pop it on your yarn Swift, unball it onto your Swift to turn it back into a hank, and you could use this for your own hand dyeing. So that's loads of fun. And it's $7.95 a ball. That's right, $7.95 a ball. This is incredible value. So whether you hand dye this for yourself at home, just knit it as is, or combine it with the smoke and Whisper Fine to create a really beautiful grey marl like this and knit it in as a DK, you can have loads and loads of fun with this yarn. And at that price, it actually makes the double stranding quite cost effective. So what I've gone and done is I've nearly finished the newsletter. In fact, I'm 90% through it as I speak. So it means when I jump off here, I can finish that up and get that out to you. And I've got on there 3 pattern suggestions. Hey, Suzanne is in the house. Good morning, Suzanne. Happy Mother's Day to you, Suzanne. I hope you're having a lovely Mother's Day in Bakersfield. I've had a little jump into the RAV this morning and pulled out some pattern suggestions. One of those was the winter beach cardigan from Angela Mowry, which I suggested a little while back with I think our vintage yarns in Southlander too. But there was a new one from Brooklyn Tweed, which I am going to show you. Put this down, get the mouse. Right. I am going to show you. I'll pop this up on the screen because I just stumbled across this morning. It's only just been released and it's absolutely gorgeous. So this is it here. It's called Ebby, and I just thought, look at that. And it's a really interesting construction. So it's knitted from the front side by side. So this is the direction of your work here. So not your normal direction going up this way, but it's actually worked this way. And they've gone and used a variation of feather and fan here. We're using increases and decreases to create these this beautiful wave effect. And you all know how I am with, there you go, you can see it there. You all know how I am with feather and fan, and I love this. And because this is worked on the side, your cast on edge gives you this beautiful ripple opening to your cardigan. It's just absolutely gorgeous. Now, it's just simple but beautiful and quite stunning. Now, this, I think, with that double stranded with a little bit of a halo would look amazing. It's done in a DK. You wouldn't need to necessarily do it double stranded, but what it does do is it gives you the opportunity to actually play around. Tension is 23 stitches, so you should be able to do that. 3.75 millimeter needle. So based on the swatching that I've done, the swatch that I had there was 4 millimeter, but the 3.75 would give you a really comfortable swatching. Super size inclusive, up to 71 inches or 91 centimeters width at the back. So sorry, 36 inches, yeah, and 91 centimeters at the back. So it's got some good sizing, and the style of the cardigan means that it will, you know, sit and wrap and look really lovely. I just think it's super, super pretty. Plenty of resources there if you're wanting to have a look at the construction. So there's loads of different options, and there's your wee schematic there. I just think it is gorgeous. Now, Shona emailed me and asked me this morning around how to substitute in terms of yarns and balls if you're going to double strand into a pattern like this. And I thought, actually, that is a really, really good question. And if you're wanting to know that, this is actually how you go to do it, and this is how we do it. So they've gone and recommended the Brooklyn Tweed Dapple, which is a little bit more difficult for us to get our hands on over here. We have to import it in. There's a tremendous cost. It's not something that's readily available in this part of the world. Now, they have gone and used, let's take a middle size there, say 11 skeins. Here are the important numbers here. So Brooklyn Tweed Dapple has 151 meters per 50 grams. So at 11 skeins, times 151, that is 1,661 meters. So that's the approximate meterage for that size. If you're double stranding, you need to use enough yarn for both individual yarn to that meterage. Now, before you go, oh, that's going to cost me an absolute living fortune, what you've got to remember is often the yarns that you're using have a much longer meterage than what the original yarn is in the pattern. So there is some interesting maths. Now, if you were going to go with the Stoic and Smoke combination on this yarn, Stoic has got a meterage of 326 meters, so 1661 meters divided by 362 comes out at 4.5. So that's 5 balls of the Stoic. And our Whisper Fine is 227 meters. Oopsie, 1 divided by 227. That is just a little over 7 balls, so that's 6 balls of that. So that works out at, funnily enough, 11 balls total with the two of them together. Now, at the special that we have at the moment, you're looking at, oopsie, let's make sure I've done that right, times 5 equals, yeah, it's $7.95 for Stoic. You're looking at $39.75 for the Stoic, which is an incredible price. And then and then 77 for the Whisper. So you're still doing this cardigan for just a little over $100, and that's with premium yarns, possum and mohair. So that's fairly amazing. And can you imagine how lush and soft that will be? It will be incredible. Now, you don't have to use those yarns double stranded. If you're wanting to do this project single stranded, I would actually recommend Sockmatician Edition DK. I think that would be a perfect yarn for this, or Bohemia from Outlaw. Both of those have got possum content. You'll get a beautiful little halo from the possum. In fact, the new colours from Bohemia in this cardigan, especially the, I want to say it's not charming, it is is they've moved over, transients, the blue in this. Stunning, absolutely beautiful. So there's loads of different options in there. So I think if you're looking for a new project to cast on and you're wanting a neat little pop-over cardigan, I thought this one was especially sweet. And that will be going out into the newsletter today. Right, good morning. Oh, there's Deb. The Ebby would squish in the Bohemia, just saying. Oh, yes. See, great minds, isn't it? Yeah, I think totally, Deb. This is, in fact, I think we might do this one as a sample in Bohemia here, because I think that one would be amazing, absolutely amazing. I just think it's so pretty. And oh, see, you know me, I love. I haven't got them sitting here. The new colours hopefully will be up very soon. I want to say, not Radiance, the Charming, which is the really warm pink. It's sort of a warm pink coral. Oh, so lovely. It's a very May colour, says she. He's wearing hot pink. Speaking of hot pink, I've just pulled these out. I'm hoping that I'm going to get these swatched this week. I know that a number of you have just so loved these bright colours in the Whisper Fine, and you've wondered what the combos for those were. These two were deliberately designed to actually double strand back with a couple of cozy yarns. So this is the magenta and cozy, and that is an exact match. And this one matches the cyan, also in the cozy and or the snug. Claire has just gone to the mill. She tells me the cozy of this is sitting over there, so that's going to restock. And these two are an exact match. And the great thing about this is they both come in DK and they both come in 4-ply. So that means that if you're wanting to double strand back, whether it be the cozy 4-ply to get a DK, or you double strand this back to get sort of a worsted, it just means that you can do, it opens you up for all the patterns from the likes of Petite Knits or a number of other patterns, so you can actually play around with the substituting and know that you're going to get a very uniform finish. So those are the exact matches there. I hope to get those swatches done up, so for those of you who can come in store, you can get a feel and a handle for what those feel like, because this is actually very soft. And this is sort of in terms of, it's in the middle of the road in terms of handle, and I think this will soften it up quite considerably. So that's what I've got with those. With any luck, I might bring some of those with me, just those exact colour matches with me, if I've got room to Woolfest. Can't. Oh, there we go. Thank you. Deborah, Charming is the pink, Radiance is the yellow, Bewitched is the blue. That's the one I forgot. Bewitched in that Ebby cardigan, I think, would be incredible. Right, what else did I have to tell you today? Oh, housekeeping from Claire. Poor old Claire. So Claire answers a good chunk of our inquiries. I do a handful. I quite often do the ones that will appear on the web, and sometimes I would do them from the main email info, because I get those as well. Now, poor old Claire, oh yes, thank you, there goes the phone, I better turn that off. Poor old Claire has been getting, she's been replying to a whole heap of inquiries. So if you've sent us through an inquiry to info@skeinz.com and you're thinking, they're useless, they're not contacting us at all, why aren't they contacting us? This is to let you know she actually does answer all of them, but for some reason they're going into your spam and junk folder. So if you've contacted us, have a look over into that folder and just check if her reply is sitting in there. If it is, then go up to info@skeinz.com, or even do it manually and add info@skeinz.com into your contacts, and hopefully that will help prevent that happening. We're trying to sort of do a workaround at this end, but we're just finding that all of a sudden there are some email programs that have been exceptionally vigorous at walling us out, and it doesn't help when we're trying to help you. So yes, she's finding that at the moment only probably 1 in 3 emails is getting through. So If you've been wondering why you haven't heard from us, check in there and you'll possibly find that that's where it'll be hiding. So that was from her. And what was the other thing I had in here? I'm just looking down my list. Oh yes, Bohemia is. And also too, there was a couple. Thanks, Deb. She let me know on the weekend there were a couple that I had missed loading. One of them was the Bewitched in Bohemia, and the other was the Radiance in the Bohemia Light. Those are both now up. Not with images, but they will be coming very, very soon. But I do know there's some people that have seen those on Breakfast Bourbon and are wanting to get those ordered down. So they are there and up. I think that's about it. Has anyone else got any questions for me while I'm here? Any tricky things crop up over the weekend in your projects? Oh, thank you, Bronwyn, for putting up the Ebby link for me. Speak now, and I will see if I can get those sorted for you. One of the things that I've been really enjoying is with the cabling is working out, actually, now that I'm on to second parts of things, my crazy note-taking system is brilliant because it allows me to sort of duplicate and easily go back and do the second half of something, and it's so much faster. I don't have to map everything out, and I'm really enjoying that. If you don't do this is I'm the queen of notebooks. I've got notebooks, as you can see. Look, there's one there, another. I've got notebooks everywhere, but I keep notebooks, and I actually will map out every single row. I don't do it for every project. If I've got a project with swathes and swathes and swathes of stocking stitch, I'm not going to do that. But particularly with something like this, where I've got cable crosses happening at different intervals, and I want to keep track of increases or decreases, wherever it may be, I just find that this works for me quite well, particularly when there's an element of repetition in there. Now, more detailed projects, you can use a chart for this because obviously it's easy to chart something. But for me, particularly with an errand project, I just find this works exceptionally well. And some people can get really daunted by charts. I'm funny with charts. I have a love-hate relationship with them. I either absolutely love them or absolutely hate them, depending on what I'm working on. So, but this I just find take 20 minutes or 15 minutes to map something out, and it just makes a world of difference. Joanne, there was a lovely 2-play alpaca in the sale. Would that combine with the Stoic? 2-play alpaca, yes, the alpaca lace, cascade alpaca lace, absolutely. And in fact, if you're wanting to do it to create a very distinctive marl, for sure, and it's beautiful and soft, that would give you a marl around the Stoic, and it would actually allow the possum and the Stoic to bloom, which would be quite neat. You know the colour, Joanne, just knowing your colour palette, as I do, the colour that I think in that Stoic would look amazing is the black. The black alpaca lace marled with this grey Stoic, I think would create a stunning fabric. And I know that you're one of the few knitters that is fearless when it comes to knitting with black. I think that would definitely be quite incredible. There is also a grey in there, but there's beautiful greens. There's a lot of heathers actually in that cascade lace range, that alpaca lace, and a heather with a heather would give you that really beautiful pebbled marl. So I think that that is certainly something worth playing around with. This is the fun thing. So I'm going to just, well, in case you guys have got more questions, around these swatching. So this took me half an hour to whip up just here at the desk on Thursday. And I know the number of times that I talk to people about sizing and swatching, and loads of people will just look at me and roll their eyes, and they're like, oh, I don't have time for that. Yeah, you do. It's the pink I have. But one black. Yes, pink would look good with that too. Swatching. Bollocks. If you've got time to knit something, you've got time to swatch. Don't want to hear it. Now, I don't swatch everything. But, you know, for those that get a bit grumpy around the old swatch, I think you need to I think you're actually not paying enough humble respect to the old swatch. I enjoy swatching, whether it be something like this, just to play around to have a look at colour, or you're actually wanting to do it for gauge to make sure you get sizing right, or you're needing to manipulate some sizing and do some knit bands. Whatever the reason for your swatching, you learn so much from doing a swatch. And I mean, there were things like the little subtle transitions of colour. I would not have known that unless I had taken a little bit of time to swatch. And for me, swatching is a little bit like taking a leap of faith and having a bit of fun. So if you want to have a play, and I mean, actually, while I'm just sitting here, I did this ages ago, I think you may remember, like when we were talking about double stranding, I mean, this is an example of something that I did just to show you of what you can do. Now, this is some Malabrigo raster that I had in my stash. One of these was, what have I got there? Oopsie. That looks like Cyclamen from Perrindale. Oh, look. One of those in here is this. Oopsie. Is the petal, which is the pink, the precursor to the rose. And the last one in here was some lila. So there's 4 strands in there. These are, I don't know, vampire stake needles. I think looking at them 15mm by the look. And I just played around and just did something like that just to show you what you can do in terms of double stranding. This is the sort of swatching that you can do. This is fun. Like for me, this is tremendously fun because you can actually create these really dimensional fabrics and give yourself inspiration where you didn't know inspiration lay. And even if you just do it where you've got some wonderful new yarns, you've got yarns in stash, like Joanne's got some yarns in stash and she's wanting to play around and have a look. This is where you can actually even pull out some yarns in stash, do a little bit of a swatch and just see how things work. Play around with stitches, increase and decrease needles. Just if you are wanting to pick something up and knit something, and it doesn't necessarily have to have an end of project purpose. It could be, the purpose could be exploration in itself. So don't be afraid at playing around and swatching. And I do a lot of swatching. In fact, probably a good chunk of my knitting is just swatches. And I don't necessarily always do stuff with them, but I just sort of play with them. So, have some fun and do that. All right, I've talked enough today. I'm going to let you go. I will be back again on Thursday. Look out for the newsletter in your inbox. And make sure if you're wanting to get some of that Stoic in your stash, do it because it will be on sale today and finishes by the end of tomorrow. So until then, have a great Monday and I will see you later in the week. Take care. Bye.